introduce us, possibly. Working with Jeff Manson as well. He's running the board. I'm kind of running the Zoom. And we have a lot of people here in the Western who are just drinking, and they fell upon poetry night, unbeknownst to them, unless they saw the posters or saw us taking some money and donations. It's Pledge Drive. Did I say that it's the Pledge Drive, a poetry theme? Is that correct, Jeff? We got that? We have some ringers in the house that are going to be doing poetry, and we also encourage everyone that's here to put their name up on a non-existent board or on a piece of paper written down if you would like to participate and read a short poem yourself. The one thing I ask is, as opposed to a really deep, heavy-duty poetry slam, this is on the radio, so we do not have the ability to bleep you, so please keep it PG-13 or G-rated or something. Your thoughts can be deep, but do not do your George Carlin impression. So I'll start it off with something that we can laugh at. From Phyllis McGinley. You might have heard it. It's really good for radio. It's really good for a radio face. How pure, how beautiful, how fine do teeth on television shine. No flutist flutes, no dancer twirls, but comes equipped with matching pearls. Gleeful announcers all are born with sets of rows like hybrid corn. Clowns, critics, clergy, commentators, ventriloquists, and roller skaters. MCs who beat their palms together, the girl who diagrams the weather, the crooner crooning for his supper, all flash white treasures, lower and upper. With miles of smiles, the airwaves team, and each an orthodontist dream. 'Twould please my eye, as gold's a miser, one charmer with uncapped incisors. Anyway, there's your joke one. And I won't read my others until later, so I invite Jeff up, or anybody who's in the wings waiting. And I'll try to work on the piece of... Do we have a sign-up thing? Is that what
we're doing? We sure do.
Okay.
And thanks, Matt, for getting everything dialed up
Jimmy!
And warmed up. I'm so happy to be here broadcasting live from the Old Western Saloon here in downtown Point Reyes Station. Thanks for being with us. And we've got a brave man jumping in the mix. New friend of mine and denizen of the valley, Mr. Virgil Shaw, a great poet and singer. And we're going to get him dialed in a minute here. And we're going to bring some poetic song to the airwaves and to you, dear listeners. And I'll remind you that we're in our Pledge Drive mode. You can call 415-663-9050 if you'd like to make a donation of any kind to support this little radio station that tries all these kind of wild things coming from the Old Western Saloon here in downtown Point Reyes Station. And happy to see Enzo Resta in the house. We've got Austin Smith here. We've got a wonderful evening of deep thoughts coming your way tonight.
All right, thanks, Jeff. This is Virgil here. Just made a little scoot through the pure lands of Marin from Forest Knolls. Glad to be back, West Marin. I'm going to play a couple songs. All right. Yeah, the sun opens with your eyes. Oh, the reflection as the geese they fly over you and me, Sharon. Yeah, we rolled out to the other side. Slept on the edge of the forest, petrified but happy to be alive, Sharon. Yeah, we hit the ocean on the one hand. It's sucking out rocks and sand, sharing all right. And you know, Sharon, we've got something going, something pretty good. And don't you tell anyone what we've seen and done. It's ours and ours only, Sharon. Yeah, you know, and if you leave me, I'm just gonna keep rolling over the countryside. Yeah, cool and alive, just me, Sharon. Yeah, I remember L.A. in the middle of the night. I've never seen a desert so quiet and heard the stars so still, Sharon. Asleep in your frozen van. You know I can do this, Sharon, I'll show you. You know I can. 'Cause you know, Sharon, we've got something going, something pretty good. You don't you tell anyone what we've seen and done. It's ours and ours only, Sharon. But you know what I'm gonna do, Sharon, if you leave me? If this doesn't work out, I'll just keep rolling over the countryside. Yeah, cool and alive, just me, Sharon. All right, well, looks like we've got a lot of people with brays in here and stuff tonight and notebooks, so I'm just going to play one more song. Thanks for inviting me, Jeff, and I'm going to... Yeah, 'cause if I was a bird looking into a valley with nothing but the stars and the wilderness surrounding me, would you still be there? If we only knew hunger and lust, would you watch the sun down? Oh, in color, the dusk is only one. Yeah, just one. It's up to the sun. There's only one. I guess just one. Up to the sun. And if I was a building pointing straight into the sky, and I became dark and lonely, oh, and vacant inside, would you still be there? Oh, through the booming and the bust, would you turn the light on and color the dust? There's only one, just one. It's up to the sun. There's only one. and just one is up to the sun. 'Cause the sun knows no one, and the sun will never go away. If I was away, rolling out in the open, with nothing but pure devotion, would you still be there? If we knew this was ending, or with the fear of the deed, I'll roll you out of your sleep. There's only one, just one. I guess it's up to the sun. There's only one. It's up to the sun. All right, thanks. All right.
It is sounding good over at the Western.
Well, hi, everybody. Thank you, Virgil Shaw, for sharing beautiful music with us, beautiful poetry, all in time for dinner, too, here at the Western. And welcome to everybody that's trickling in. This is Poetry Night at the Western, and we are broadcasting this reading and performance live on the KWMR airwaves in honor of our pledge drive. So we're sending it out. We're beaming out from West Marin out to all those places that the radio goes and beyond. And I'm happy to be here with you. And I didn't think anyone was going to show up, and so I signed up on one of the early ones just to make sure that we'd have something to put on the radio in this moment. But so happy to see everyone here. This is going to be, I'll think of myself as one of the emissaries of Luminous, which is a poetry town here in West Marin. And you guys know what an anagram is? You know, where you mix up the letters in some words. And there's a lot of good anagrams for Luminous hearsay news. And so I made a poem about the Luminous hearsay news in anagrams. And I think there's something kind of interesting and incantatory about the way things can be. So, Luminous hearsay news. Luminous hair say news. Luminous hearses yawn. Luminous anywhere ass. Luminous share say new. Luminous hyena swears. Luminous harass weenie. Luminous rewashes any. Luminous yeah rawness. Luminous washes yearn. Luminous ashes yawner. Luminous sachet renew. Sachet renew. Sachet renew. Sachet renew. Sachet renew. And now I'd like to read a poem written by my friend, the late great Joanne Kiger. I was lucky to intersect with Brian Curvin, who's going to be up next. And Brian and I had some nice moments in Joanne's dojo, writing in our journals and reading them to each other. And Joanne taught me a lot about poetry. I'm just going to scoot the mic back. It seems like it's kind of feeding back a little. Maybe it seems okay? Okay. And a warm welcome to all of our radio listening audience out there. Hope you're ensconced somewhere comfortable. And if you're feeling so inspired, you're welcome to come on down to the Western Saloon. Mia Q is at the door charging $5. And it's all going to support our community radio station. So hope you can join us. We've got a full night of poetry ahead. All right. So who here had the power go out recently? Yeah, not something to applaud about. My condolences to the good people of Inverness. Currently still out of power. Estimated restoration time was 6 p.m. today. It just came back on. All right. Happy news to share. And I love this. This is a poem from Joanne's book called Just Space, published by Black Sparrow Press. And it feels very much like today, even though it was written a long time ago. It's called Dictionary's Guaranteed Success. I'm just going to read this one, then we'll have Brian Curvin come up and read a few. There was no electricity. Simone couldn't type. Shao couldn't listen to his tapes. Many couldn't cook. Trees fell on houses. There was no time, no radio, no coffee grinders. It was full moon. Yes, you look gorgeous in that purple slicker. There were candles. There were wood fires. There was propane. There was not food. There was the dictionary. There was a lot of moonlight. There was pleach, notch, zamindar, teniacide, and lumbricoid. And finally, there was Smiley's.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Now we're going to have Brian Curvin come on up.
Thank
You
you,
want this?
Jeff. That's awesome. How fresh is that?
That's from like 1983 from Joanne Kiger.
Wow.
So, and fresh feeling though, yeah.
But Smiley's.
Yeah.
Smiley's cake.
Finally, there was Smiley's.
Well, thank you, Jeff and Matt, for organizing this, and KWMR. Another full moon poem. There's a full moon's coming up. This, it's also a good, maybe a little bit of spring in it, and talks a theme of relentless weather patterns, which we're getting more and more familiar with. Call this Harvest Moon. At times, I'd like to close my window on this world, not look, claim frailty. But when I walk out into the night, up from the cave where I hide, she gleams full through a hole in the bristly live oak boughs. After so many foggy nights, she beams so bright, I just might hold her inside like sunlight with eternal delight, so as to meet a rare clear dawn down in the furrow from which to reap a new day's seed waiting to be sown. Even on fog-banked mornings, heading deeper into the thick, I wish to wake open my window on this world and embrace the sudden blue hole where breaching humpbacks appear, spurring on the singing of this song for all to hear. Thanks. Another spring poem, Bird Song, is ramping up, and this one's called Trust Building. It's always troubled me, the proximate flushing of feathered or furry friends prior to prolonged eye contact through bino lens, captured by camera, or better yet, let's make amends by properly communing, peacefully sharing presence. I haven't excelled at boundaries. Nerves frayed, animals and birds dart away. Today, late lunch, I ate lunch, playing visual hide and seek with a Pacific Slope flycatcher mom, hopping and dropping through the male coast silk tassel, myself seated at the round glass table, dancing glimpses as she flitted back and forth, swinging in and out of view through gaps in handrails like a Puerto Rican fan courting ritual. As I feigned the male's call like dog owner's quick whistle, "Come here!" My human chuckles and sighs work better than my mimicry to keep her near. Or is it her nest? Yearning for her sense of safety, my sudden sideways head nod somehow sends her up like a kite on a string to her nest above the light fixture, too high for me to look in. Thanks.
What do we have next, Jeff? We also, just so you know, we're taking a station break
That's
in
right.
5 minutes.
I was thinking maybe we should have a little music coming down from the radio station, from our radio people, as we lead up
to
the bottom of the hour here.
Can we do that?
KWMR. I think
Are
we
you
can do
ready?
that. Let's try. We're going to try an experiment here. This is all an experiment in radio. Can we hear from Alyssa Tanner? Hello, Alyssa Tanner. Are you there?
Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Zoom, 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 zoom. Anybody remember? No.
Let's see.
We're gonna zoom, 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 zoom.
This is Alyssa Tanner.
Hello, Alyssa Tanner.
Let's see.
This is the disembodied voice of Alyssa Tanner down the block, speaking to you from KWMR. How's it going over there, Alyssa?
It's going good. But we got some feedback, Jeff.
Yeah,
So this is
okay here.
Was it pop?
that is so lovely, and I have actually turned you all down now because we're not able to do a little back and forth. But let me just switch things over. You are tuned in to KWMR. We have more music and more poetry coming from the Western Saloon as time continues to pass by. Stay tuned to KWMR.
Go way back, and I'm a songwriter, and I've been lucky enough to hit Austin off numerous times over the years, grabbing lines from his poems and slipping them into my songs. We'll sing some of those songs maybe later tonight. And he made the trek up to West Marin to read a few for you. So hand things over to Austin Smith now, and you're going to be in good hands. So.
Thank you, Jeff. Finally, there is the Old Western. I really appreciate the invite, Jeff. It's great to be back in West Marin. I came up from San Francisco today. I guess I'll read a couple bangers. This one is called What is the Moon Really? The moon is the anvil your grandfather couldn't take with him into the grave. The moon is the salt lick a lonely man leaves in the yard so the deer will come to his window while he sleeps. The moon doesn't know where it's going, though it goes there every morning. The moon is losing its memory. How long can it be allowed to live by itself in that cluttered attic? The moon is a young woman. The moon is an old man who took a shift no one else wanted long ago, and no one will switch. The moon would like to just sit on a beach somewhere and drink beer, but it knows it would keep pulling the sea towards it, like a boy pulling the sheets up to his chin. Then how would it read the advanced reader copy of the new novel sent by Goodreads? The moon keeps its hands behind its back, a boy told to be careful in the museum so it doesn't knock into any stars. The moon wants to know, can it count on your vote in the race between the moon and the sun? The moon says we have to live within the two-party system while dreaming of the Trinity. The moon has made its peace with being loved by none but drunks and poets. The moon is content with renting. The moon is a longshoresman, a card-carrying member. The moon is this page, it wishes I just left it blank. The moon is a mirror, we see ourselves in it. The moon wants to know, when are we coming back? It liked the little kisses the astronauts skipped into its face. The moon is the girl who wants you to come home with her, to whom you say, I shouldn't. Go. The moon wants to fall into your hands like a silver apple you've been waiting for to fall, standing night and day under the tree, so that people are becoming concerned. The moon is the sun tasked with giving the eulogy. In return, he has given plenty of space. It's not over yet, sorry. All right. Yes, the moon is a child's rowboat drowned under hailstones and willow leaves. The moon stays awake so we can sleep. But some nights the moon isn't there when we look, like a guard who goes missing the night of the assassination. The moon is envious of the living, but knows how it always ends. The dead love the moon most. The moon makes them feel seen. There are some who, dying, ask for the bed to be wheeled over to the window so they can die in the moonlight. The moon knows of these, far away as she is. She throws her light on them like children throwing flowers on a dog's grave. The moon is the man chosen for a lineup who looks nothing like who did it, but gets picked by the witness and put on trial. The moon is on trial for right, though the sun has plenty. The sun is a corporation, the moon a citizen like you and I. Thank you. The hazards of reading from a phone. I'm going to read a poem from a book now, and I'll do better. Okay, this is the, thanks. This is the last poem I'll read. It's called Ode to Flower. I was feeling down and wanted to praise something harmless, something we don't necessarily need, but that I'm glad we have. And I lit just now upon flour. I suppose flour could be harmful if you don't eat wheat, but let's assume you do. Think, where did your mother keep the flour when you were a child? Or your father? Perhaps it was your father who did the baking. Maybe neither your mother nor your father baked, but they still kept some flour around, left over from Christmas, or because a neighbor had brought some over. Though why a neighbor would bring flour over and then leave without it, I don't know. Anyway, you can tell I want there to have been flour in your childhood kitchen, in a paper bag that gave off a little gasp of powder every time it was opened, which wasn't often. On the side of the bag, a girl in a dress tiptoed amongst hens, a wicker basket on her arm, and it was understood she was bringing bread to the sick and poor. Or maybe your family stored the flour in a glass jar with a wire lid that latched, or in a stoneware canister with the word flour painted in blue cursive on the side. Wherever it was, maybe you reached your hand inside every now and then to wonder at how something so dry could feel so cool that it felt damp. Or maybe this is the wrong poem for you. Maybe you loved salt. Thanks. Okay, thanks, Jeff. I'll read one more poem, maybe a little political, considering some exciting political events from today. It's called Cat Moving Kittens. We must have known, even as we reached down to touch them, where we'd found them, shut-eyed and trembling, under a straw bale in the haymow, that she would move them that night under cover of darkness, and that, by finding them, we were making certain we wouldn't see them again, until we saw them crouching under the pickup like sullen teens, having gone as wild by then as they'd gone still in her mouth. That night she made a decision any mother might make upon guessing the intentions of the state. To go and to go now, taking everything you love between your teeth.
Thank you so much, Austin. And yes, this is the master list, the main list. Where are we at? That was number 5. We're at number 6 with Chris Aaron. Chris / Aaron? What is that? Chris Aaron. Okay. Well, we've got Beth Underwood after, so we can skip over 6. We go back to 6. And after that, just on deck will be Howard Dillon.
If you are
You're listening
just
to
tuning
KWMR 90.5 FM in Point Reyes Station, 89.9 in Bolinas, 92.3 in the San Geronimo Valley. We are listener-supported West Marin Community Radio, streaming live and archiving online
at
KWMR. This is Pledge Week 2. We are robots. No, just kidding. Yes.
If you're just tuning in, we are currently streaming live from the Western Saloon in downtown Point Reyes Station, where we're hosting a poetry night until 9 p.m. You can go ahead and head down there. This is part of our Spring Pledge Drive fundraiser. You can call 415-663-9050 in support of KWMR.
So I think I'm going to just read a couple. And I chose a couple of these because I'm a programmer at KWMR and I do a music show. This first one is called Bringing It All Back. Being gypsy-like Bob Dylanisms in a truck stop somewhere southward on Old 99, we traded folk songs from days of yore, days of yours and mine. Trying hard not to know, but we knew. On the road again, both time and trucking valley language were like some smooth Hawaiian dialect. And the only cowboys were on the radio. Yodel-hee-hoo, all tangled up in blues. And we knew this landscape by heart. From Snowy Mountain Road and Horizon Line Highway to crunchy beach esplanades, their shells now broken from freewheeling ways. Where we're bound, we know well, but the night is so insanely, how long to the grapevine? Then over the top, exhale and glide into LA, hoping the offshore is up, but not for the surf. For the positively Pacific Coast Highway, wide-eyed, last miles. And it's a hard ride. Desperately strung out on streets singing. Jazz lighthouse midnights, wet pier gazing on the strand, crusty coastal lights, and knowing, but trying hard not to. We flew there like children, high and silver, homing, Okay. Yeah, just a few. Like I said. So actually this one's more like April instead of music. To be or not to be in April. It's somewhere beneath me where I lie, just beyond the architecture of the bed. I could reach over the side and dip into the mauve and pond-like green of it. Lying lightly, lying still, there is a candle glow to the surface of my body, and I must not move, because if I were to dip over the side and into the pond, that would surely be it. I would never wake. There is violence in this silent candle glow and still water. It's the very same ache nature will bring. Before there can be buds, there is a stub, stretching and tearing, breaking smooth skin of some stalk. This fierce growth will result in a flower. And after all that pain, this beautiful new thing will just bloom and die. Oh, but if at this moment I could just see the wind as it travels through the sky, or just be the acacia tree as it bursts all yellow and rampant, if I could just feel the wet fog roiling in at hyperspeed over the headlands and into this ravine, this valley, just then I could wake up. That's all it would take. The candle glow would succumb to the sun. I could get out of this bed and not step into the pond. So this next poem, it kind of needs a little bit of an introduction. In high school, I was incredibly lucky to have a music teacher who was very knowledgeable about music history and was a composer himself. He was also very interested in pushing the envelope, so really didn't ever shy away from giving his madrigal choir difficult modern or ancient pieces to sing. One day he brought us a lamentation by Carlo Gesualdo, who was born in the 16th century. At the time, we didn't know that Gesualdo is best known for writing these intense and dark, expressive madrigals. And he used a chromatic language that was probably not heard again until the late 19th century or early 20th century. It almost scared us to do these songs. And so as an example, the first few notes of this lamentation went something like this. It's going to be loud. Ah! So, you know, not really something you hear in the 1500s very often. So this is a poem that I wrote with a lamentation sort of feel to it. The Lamentations of Gizmo El Gato. Meow, meow. They've left me food and water. They've left me here alone. Meow, meow, meow. I am alone. No one to toss the blue fish. No one to toss it. So high, so high. Meow, meow, meow. I do not dance without them. I do not chase the wicked motes of light. Hateful motes. Meow, meow, meow. I do not pretend I am a pony, galloping down the long, long length of a slippery wooden floor, stupid floor. Meow! I do not dance. I am alone. They have left me. Meow, 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 Thank you.
Thank you, Beth Underwood. And next up is yet more KWMR and local luminary, Howard Dillon. Do you want to adjust this mic a bit?
That's fine. Just where it is fine. Thank you very much. There's something about reading poetry in a bar. I'm really grateful for the microphone. I've never tried to do it with a microphone before in a bar, but you have to kind of command attention. I have two poems for you. One short is just a little bit more to endure. This is written by local person, now unfortunately left us, David Bunnett. And it's called Directions to Bullinus. There is a mystery about Bullinus to those who have heard of it at all. Where is it? It is not on the main road, not on any through road, not on the route from anywhere to anywhere else. And there are no signs to show a traveler the way. Perhaps I could help you find Bullinus, but first ask yourself, where are you right now? What's your beginning point? Go home. That's where you have to start. Go inside your house. Go into every room. Open the windows. Let some air in and clean things up a little. Rearrange the furniture. Put food in the fridge. Set wood by the hearth so you'll be ready if friends come by or family. While you're in there, look into the attic. All that clutter, how can you even think? A broken chair, old computers, boxes you've moved 3 times and never opened, bags of grudges, bags of misconception, clumps and clusters of wrong-headedness. All that junk will have to go. Be ruthless if you have to about clearing some space beneath your roof so angels can have room to roost. But be smart about it, too. You can't just toss everything. Some real treasures there. Letters, photos, Dad's army stuff, favorite toys of your childhood and the childhood of your child. Great-grandma's sewing machine from when she lived in Mexico. Your first passport. The way you signed your name at age 11. These are items of the heart that crave your care, to be seen and held and smelled, to live again for a moment and give you life. And of course, there's the basement, especially the basement. Don't say what's down there. It's no one's business but your own. But you do need to get that in order. It's fundamental. The footings, the furnace, the power, the plumbing, the drains. It wants to be clean and dry with no bad bugs. And at least one light that works. A decent residence for monsters. Good. Now, go back outside, lie down in the sun, or if you prefer, the moon. Thrust your hands into the ripe earth and draw forth flowers and fruit. Replace an upturned rock in sympathy with the salamander. Befriend a goat. Let birds nest in your hair. Your toes are roots, your fingers rays of light. Inhale the cool day and breathe heat into the night. Watch a beetle crawl up your arm while comets collide with Jupiter. Feel the million moving things in the still air. Engage your mind and stand your ground. Become contentious. Argue with everyone. Never budge an inch except when you realize you're wrong, in which case that was what you meant all along. Fight with your neighbors something about chickens and raccoons. Then keep their dogs for a year while they wander the world collecting wisdom. Respect your enemy. Understand all positions, but give your passion to Democrats and Greens. Learn to throw pots, to throw crockery, so you can overthrow an empire. Be fierce, the butterfly whose wing beats start hurricanes. Associate with capitalists and carpenters. Paint portraits of everyone you meet. Invite musicians to your home. Cook banquets. Breakfast for 200. Dinner for 12. Nightcap for 2. Shine warm on the noonday winos and try to mask your grief till you're at least half a block away. Frequent a saloon and play pool with strangers you've known for 20 years. Understand a teenager. Who else could as well as you? Appreciate women. I know you do, but I meant more than that. Birth a baby and later
I'm happy to be here with you, and I didn't think anyone was going to show up, and so I signed up one of the early ones just to make sure that we'd have something to put on the radio. And I'm happy to be here with you, and I didn't think anyone was going to show up, and so I signed up one of the early ones just to make sure that we'd have something to put on the radio. And I'm happy to be here with you, and I didn't think anyone was going to show up, and so I signed up one of the early ones just to make sure that we'd have something to put on the radio. And I'm happy to be here with you, and I didn't think anyone was going to show up, and so I signed up one of the early ones just to make sure that we'd have something to put on the radio. And I'm happy to be here with you, and I didn't think anyone was going to show up, and so I signed up one of the early ones just to make sure that we'd have something to put on the radio. And I'm happy to be here with you, and I didn't think anyone was going to show up, and so I signed up one of the early ones just to make sure that we'd have something to put on the radio. And I'm happy to be here with you, and I didn't think anyone was going to show up, and so I signed up one of the early ones just to make sure that we'd have something to put on the radio. And I'm happy.
I have to say it's after the writer Gary Chamberlain, a good friend of mine, because I couldn't find the poem, so I've written down what I can remember. But I read this poem at the Edinburgh Festival in the Travers Theatre in 1969 when I did a reading of my friend Gary Chamberlain's poems. So it's kind of a remembered poem, so it might not be exactly the way he wrote it, but it's called What She Has Written. A letter has come from my lover. She is distant and plans to go further. She is close and wants to visit, twine her limbs with mine. She is pregnant and hates me. She is great with love. The light that comes in the window only begs to be kissed. What she has written is a screed for the ages, to be framed, treasured for its calligraphy, passed down to admiring grandchildren. It is a scribbled note to be glanced at and thrown in the trash. What she has written lies at the side of what I have written. It is time to read.
Howard Dillon. Thank you, Mr. Dillon. That was great. I want to go to Bolinas, but I can never find it. There's no signs or anything, is there? Is that a problem sometimes? I just wanted to remind everybody that we're live on the radio right now, and also we're having a pledge drive. Yeah, everybody, live studio. And the number, we have somebody standing by. Amanda Eichstadt is there. If you wanted to call right now from this bar, you could donate. It's 415-663-9050. 415-663-9050.
My life.
Yeah. Who we got up next? Jeff? It's up there. Sorry.
Aaron. E-R-I-N.
We got Chris Aaron.
Chris Aaron. Oh, you were number 6. You've jumped back in. I see that. We have Chris Aaron.
I had to be after Gizmo El Gato.
Gizmo El Gato. You're tuned in to Poetry Night here, streaming live to you and broadcasting on KWMR 90.5 FM.
1, 2.
Take it away, Chris, whenever you're ready.
We'll get it dialed. Riff a little.
Can the studio come back in? What do we got for that? 12 and 11?
I so love this back and forth. Oh, and Matt has put me in the bar. Take me off the bar, Matt. I don't want to be in the bar right now.
We're riffing. We're riffing. Are you ready, Chris?
I'm ready. You make me
okay.
sound good now.
Oh, okay.
Ready? Well, I pulled off the rough and rowdy. I took a side road to town. I brushed off some dust and dowdy. I shined me up the best I could. I wasn't looking for a paradise, a shining city on a hill. I was looking for a cup of joe and someone to spend some time with. I slipped into the fast lane once or twice along the way. I drifted in and out, hanging in at the tail end. I never thought to take the lead. I was satisfied to place and take home just enough to continue in the race. Well, I'm a genuine depiction of a genre or a joke, an American tradition. I play music for the folk. Lord, it's cold in Nashville, even chillier in New York City. LA is the coldest place of all. I often ask a question of myself out in the rain. I recall old Wayland wandering, pretty much the same, through the haze of dying cigarettes and the tick of borrowed time. If Hank had had such deep regret, why continue down the line? Well, I was never good at puzzles, and I never wanted dice. And I'd spend my check as fast as heck, Lord, it's the story of my life. I'd worked 6 months to earn enough to bail out of a drunk tank trunk with a pocket full of stories from my mate in the upper bunk. Well, I'm still running pretty smoothly with a cough just now and then. I like to think that it's my duty to stick it out long as I can. Well, these days I spend on blue roads, mostly way out in the middle, in the heartland, in the gentle hand of that great mother riddle. Well, I'm a genuine depiction of a genre or a joke, an American tradition. I play music for the folk. And Lord, it's cold in Nashville, even chillier in New York City. LA is the coldest place of all. LA is the coldest place of all. Thank you. Let's see. Get so old I have to read my own words. Well, let's do another folk song. Well, I've dragged this guitar, oh, so far, pretty much most of my life. It comforted me when I got lost in a fog, cheered me up when I lost a wife. I keep this old box quite close to me. It's never too far from my side. Some have said it's an obstacle to intimacy and a good life. That's all right, Lord knows. Some will take the slow roads in spite of the ruts, the rocks and the dust. Some persist on that slow, hard road. I remember the growl of old Sun House in a jukebox in some dusty bar. A preacher, a prisoner, the son of the blues. Some say he did not go far. I followed old Sun down a long blue road. Some did not appear on the map. Sometimes I found myself so far gone I didn't think I'd find my way back. That's all right, Lord knows. Some will take the slow roads in spite of the rain and the bulls on the train. Some persist on that slow, hard road. Some say the blues is the devil's muse. Heaven is high, but with a shelter in the alley and the gutter and the sewer, I know God does his best work close to the ground. I carry a dream in my pocket as long as I can recall, like a strand of hair in a locket. It reminds me of what's gone before. Sometimes when I think this life is too tough, I remember old Padre Joe. He chased out my demons, washed this poor lamb. He shined up my rust-covered soul. That's all right, Lord.
This is KWMR 90.5 in Point Reyes Station, 89.9 in Bolinas, and 92.3 in the San Geronimo Valley. We are currently live streaming from the Western Saloon in downtown Point Reyes Station. It is Poetry Night, part of our Spring Pledge Drive. We are currently $48 away from reaching 47,000. Bringing up those claps. Hate to interrupt it.
One more, if that's okay.
One more, please.
Great.
We'd like to say thank you to Sharon Drake for making a donation in support of this event in particular. And we'd also like to thank Aggie Merch, who sent in a message, loved the David Bennett poem, as did we. This has been a lovely evening here. If you are wanting to make it down to the Western, we're only halfway through this poetry night. We still have an hour to go. There is a $5 cover or more. If you'd like to throw some more down, we have no problem with that. If you'd like to call and make a donation, you can call Amanda here at 415-663-9050. And now, back to the Western.
Highway 1 winds down the coastline like it did when I was young. I used to run from San Francisco down to LA on a pack of gum. And the miracles of chemistry, rock and roll on the radio. I was young, my feet didn't touch the ground. I worked the fields in the San Joaquin, couldn't do no better in the Sacramento. California was eternity, and heaven was high in the high Sierra. $50 was a fortune, a week of toil in the dust and sun. I was young, my feet didn't touch the ground. Light as a feather, like a leaf in a meadow, I'd float the crest of a Santa Ana wind. I'd climb the side of the Big Sur mountains and let the rain wash away my sin. Like dust in a hollow, I'd fly like a swallow, land wherever I caught a glimpse of gold, dreaming of a Cadillac cruising down Sunset, all the way to sunny Malibu. My back got sore, my neck got sunburned, couldn't see no farther than the very next row. I'd ride along with Juan and Rosalita, from the lettuce to the artichoke. Juan and Rosie still toil there. You taste their sweat in every peach and pear. I was young, my feet touch the ground. Old 99 cuts down the valleys from snowy Shasta to old Bakersfield, and now and then I drive that highway. The memories never seem so real. California dreams gilded gold. The gold is gravel if the truth is told. But I was young, my feet didn't touch the ground. I was young, my feet didn't touch the ground. Beautiful. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Chris, Aaron, everybody. Once again, give it up. Thank you for that great music.
Yeah, Chris.
We're We're going back to some poetry here with another local luminary.
That's right.
We got Enzo coming
Resta.
up.
And I'll just say to our radio listening audience that I've had a couple of really enjoyable mornings on the radio at KWMR with Enzo Resta. We've talked about Octavio Paz and a few other things, and it's a pleasure to have Enzo here at the Old Western Saloon with us. And I'm going to jump in and try to improvise a little.
Thank you, Jeff.
Guitar
Thank
behind.
you. I grew up in Bolinas, and we didn't have electricity when I was a child. We had kerosene lamps, and we were out on the farm, and the transistor radio was an incredibly amazing experience for us as kids at night, listening to like Mystery Theater and E.G. Marshall and all that stuff with the kerosene lights flickering. And I just heard Aggie Murch and Richard replay the moment when they took KWMR live in 1999. There was this countdown from no radio station to a radio station. It was really beautiful to see how, like, you know, all this thought and all this energy and all this effort went into something that was not living. And then it was 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it was there. And it made me think about that in so many different ways of life, how we have ideas. As Fellini said, the visionary is the only true realist. Sort of that which we can imagine, we can create. So I did ask Jeff, thank you, Jeff, thank you for doing this evening, all of you guys, KWMR, to maybe back me up on this poem I'm going to read. This is about a dog that I had rescued. His name was Cosmo del Barrio. And I was down in Mexico working on a book project, and it occurred to me when I saw all the dogs of the mountainous region there, where Cosmo came from. So this is the story of Cosmo del Barrio. So we're going to go with a little bit of a kind of mariachi kind of vibe with the guitar from Jeff. Cosmo del Barrio. Your father's father's father, Don Perro de los Perros, was a legend in Mexico City, a radical intellectual who knew the ways of the shamanic Mayans and the permutations of the Kama Sutra. He introduced ecstatic tantra to even the most wretched mixed mutts from the muddy alleyways under the tin-roofed barrios of that vast and dog-filled city. Short dogs, tall dogs, hairy dogs, hairless dogs. He loved them all gloriously and gave Mexico many offspring, abandoning them to lead the revolution of the beggars and the thieves. Your father's father, El Pepito Abandonito, barely survived his birth. His mother rolled wide and flat that night like a tortilla left by the side of the road in Leon by the mezcal-inspired bus driver. Also, a well-endowed romantic, your forlorn father's father gave freely of himself to the scraggly, saw-toothed, and coyote-like mixed mutts of the mountains. It was there that he met his third one and only, Carmela Maria Dolores Rosa Fuente Alegría Dolce Juan Martinez, a gypsy mutt from Veracruz. At Carmela's prompt, they followed the trails to the city of Guanajuato to explore opulent golden churches and hear the famous street musicians sing ballads of love. It was here, Cosmo, that your own father was born, El Perro Benito Centenario Don Julio Juarez. He was born under the statue of a coal miner as church bells rang throughout the city of stone. Your father was a wanderlust. He traveled to the north with the immigrants, searching the dusty outskirts of town for adventure, one-night stands, and random scraps of food. He traveled over the volcano belt, the Pacific Ring of Fire, rode trucks through the Sierra Madre and Sonora plains, living on cactus and corn, hiding in fortresses, keeping warm at night with the tiny Chihuahua or the nude Cholo. He met your mother Luna, a regal and beautiful mutt from Torreon. She was a welcoming lover herself, delivering a litter of 11 on the eve of each and every equinox. You, Cosmo, were born the first in her first litter of 14 under a taco stand. your conception, an experience that locked your mother into a love tangle for 2 hours. When El Perro Benito Centenario Don Julio Juarez, your father, was eaten in the open marketplace of a border town, your mother applied her amorous magic to smuggle you across the Texas border. I tell you this now, Cosmo, to help you remember your own parentage, your origins. You hitchhiked through California, journeyed north to towns with names like Santa Barbara, Santa Rosa, San Rafael. You were captured one day by the federales and thrown into a slaughterhouse in Healdsburg. It was here that we found you, shivering, wild, dirty. That was many years ago, Cosmo, and now here you lie, after running the streets with Crazy Jane and Old Man Bernie, your crooked arms and legs pointing upward and outward toward the old gypsy trails and railroad tracks in that far, far away mountain range. Cosmo del Barrio Resta. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
That's Enzo Resta, everybody. Thank you so much, Enzo, for coming down and blessing us with true tales of a Bolinas dog here. And, you know, I know those Bolinas dogs have a lot of tales to tell. And we're going to do a whole evening about Bolinas dogs sometime soon.
Are we going to do the Bolinas dogs live simulcast coming up in the fall pledge drive, perhaps?
I think so. Could be. I want to give out the number. If folks are so inspired to donate to this station, you're not down at the Old Western where you can drop a quarter in the bucket here. You can call 415-663-9050, and you can offer your support to this station as we are in the midst of our spring pledge drive, looking to raise $60,000 by
that number again, 415-663-9050. And once again, thank you, Enzo Resta. That was fantastic. And accompaniment from Jeff. Jeff was right there by the board playing his guitar. We had skipped over Ida. Ida, are you ready? And also, just so you know, we're going to play, if we can do the technology, in about 10 minutes or so, we're going to play a very short Joanne Kiger recorded poem by her, provided to us on CD today by Brian Curvin. So thank you, Brian, in advance, and we hope to do that in about 10 minutes or so, or at the bottom of the half hour there. Here we have Ida S. Is this a little high for you? There you go.
Hi, my name is Ida. I haven't written a poem in a long time, but this one just popped out. It's called I Am Not a Mermaid. There was a man, a pilot, who flew to our third date and took me to the Russian River. I was born on the Russian River, and we swam. He called me a mermaid, and I'm sure he meant well. But he clearly did not see me. I could be an otter of the land and the sea, the Kushtaka in me, effing with my father's fishery, his little mermaid. I am not. The thing is, F your fantasy. I'm a sailor, a she sailor. I have legs to leap from the cockpit to the bow. I run the rigging, trim the sails, and batten down the hatches. I beat into the wind, wear ship, fly abaft, abeam, or catch her wing and wing, my fierce friend, the wind. I navigate by stars, compass, and chart, a taffrail log, and dead reckoning. I know my vessel, and she is worthy of the land and the sea. There is no mermaid in me.
Thank you, Ida. And moving right along, we now have Lee Giamona. Lee Giamona, here we go. think that's pretty good. Pretty good height.
I'm calling on everyone in the bar and all those people listening on KWMR to join our pledge drive. So my poem is called KWMR Pledge Drive Poetry Night at the Old Western Saloon.